All-Stars brightened the night. It took overtime for the Bayhawks to fly into the title game when Steele Stanwyck delivered in the clutch. The hometown Outlaws launched their own amazing rally in the second semifinal with John Grant Jr. turning back time. Now it's Denver and Chesapeake for the championship of Major League Lacrosse. Let's crown a king on ESPN2. This is the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. This morning's match in Denver features the five-time champion Chesapeake Bayhawks battling the Denver Outlaws, the team that won it all a year ago. Back on Friday, the top-seeded Bayhawks were pushed to the limit by the Atlanta Blaze. Then Steele Stanwyck came to the rescue in overtime. In the semifinal nightcap, Denver rallied from 10-4 down to outlast the Boston Cannons and earn its place in the title game. It is great to see you again. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. The semifinals were contested less than 48 hours ago, Mark. How might that impact today's game?
Wow, they were two tremendous games, but both teams had to battle back from big-time deficits, used a lot of energy to scratch, claw, to get their way to this title game. The Bayhawks had to use overtime. The Outlaws played one of the most physical games I've ever seen against the Cannons. Who has the energy, who has the legs, who has the passion to win here today?
Very pleased to have Quint Kesnick with us as our sideline analyst today. That's going to give him a great point of view on Chesapeake attackman and MVP, Lyle Thompson.
Well, Lyle's more than an MVP. He's one of the all-time greats. You could compare him to a Wayne Gretzky, a Willie Mays, or even a Michael Jordan. Creativity, productivity, and effort. He's been the best player in field lacrosse this summer, leading his team to the championship. And he embodies all the values of the creator's game. He is a pleasure to watch.
Thompson is incredibly special, Q. There's no doubt about that. But Mark, the Outlaws rarely have to take a backseat to anyone on offense. They don't have to because they have John Grant Jr., the all-time leading scorer in Major League Lacrosse, at their disposal.
What he is doing at 44 years of age is simply amazing. Came out of retirement back in May so his daughter could watch him play, and boy, his Outlaw teammates are happy that he did. He was unbelievable on Friday night. He put this team on his shoulders. He bullied his way to 5 goals against the Boston Cannons. 3 of them came in a 2-minute, 23-second stretch to get the Outlaws back in the game. He is unreal.
Daughter Gabby very impressed. So the stage is set and the daylight should be bright. Denver and Chesapeake, both teams title worthy. Only one of them gets to celebrate. We find out who that'll be next on ESPN2. It's a beautifully crisp day in Denver. Temperatures expecting to creep into the low 60s before we are through. The coaches in this championship matchup, the Bayhawks against the Outlaws, a decades-long relationship here, Mark, between Dave Cottle and Tony Seaman.
The best of friends. They have competed against each other dozens of times, and now it's for all the marbles in Major League Lacrosse.
We take a look at Mark's keys to the game, presented by Amerind Risk.
For Denver, you got to stay out of the penalty box. They fell behind early against Boston due to many penalties, and the refs were letting them play. They got to tighten it up here today. For the Chesapeake Bayhawks, they are the most dangerous when they're sharing the ball. The ball can't die in the stick of number 4, Lyle Thompson. As good as he is, as talented as he is, this Bayhawk team is most dangerous when they share the rock.
Today's starting netminders are presented by Warrior. And Mark, we have a pair of seasoned pros.
Dylan Ward, 6'5", made a game-winning stop at the end of regulation on Friday. Brian Phipps, the 3-time All-Star, was fantastic in the second half against the Atlanta Blaze on Friday evening.
Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon in the booth, joined by our rules analyst, Don Zimmerman. Quint Kesnick is our sideline analyst. The officials today, Brian Abbott, Doug Donovan, Dave Pincharo, and Mike McCloskey. We are off and running. 2019 championship game, first offensive possession belonging to the Outlaws here in white.
Right off a face-off violation against Chesapeake. And Quint, you were talking to Dave Cottle before the game. He is concerned about the face-off matchup.
Schlosser takes it into the alley. Marked there by Isaiah Davis-Allen. Bayhawks, the top seed, wearing the blue jerseys. Courier, who favors his left hand, sets it up. In Major League Lacrosse, there is a 60-second shot clock, just about halfway through it. Brendan Cavanaugh picked up on the perimeter. Long drive sent on the way, and Phipps makes a kneeling denial. Looks for the quick outlet as the Bayhawks want transition. Thompson fires, and it's too tall. Over top of the cage, backup belongs to the Bayhawks.
Phipps looks sharp. He was not sharp in the first half of Friday night's game. He read that shot from Ryan Lee, who is a sharpshooter out of RIT.
Lyle Thompson measured there on the outside by Gobrecht. Thompson spins, no shooting room. Bomberry on a little shovel to Mariano. Nick Mariano's biggest goal-scoring performance of the summer, a 4-goal effort against New York back in August. On the run comes Wagner. Bomberry keeps it high. Steele Stanwyck is the coordinator. Colin Heacock is a shooter from the perimeter. Better than 35 goals on the regular season. Leaning in here, pulls the trigger, and he sends that one high. Shot clock is at 4. Thompson takes it off the end line. A quick stick inside, and that's snared by Dylan Ward. Back come the Outlaws.
Right away, the matchups that jump out at me. Gobrecht is taking Lyle Thompson, not Finn Sullivan, who was the Warrior Defensive Player of the Year finalist for the Denver Outlaws. On the other end, Warren Jeffrey. He is a big physical specimen for the Bayhawks. He's matched up on John Grant Jr. Lefty versus lefty. James Fahey from Boston was also a lefty and did not win that matchup.
Jack Jasinski trying to get downhill against Matt Abbott. Abbott, the longest tenured Bayhawk in Major League Lacrosse history. Mikey Schlosser looking for a shooting lane. Throws back for Jasinski. Outside the arc, off the roll dodge. Gets to the interior. This one bounces to the crease, and it's covered up quickly by the Bayhawks defense. Gliding back into the offensive end. The 2-point effort sails high. Out of the cross of Nick Manis, the short stick defensive midfielder for Dave Cottle's Bayhawks. Colin Heacock, perfect attendance during the regular season. They played 16 games. Shane Simpson, who didn't play in the semi. Fleet-footed midfielder, inverted now back behind the cage. Simpson on a scoop. Heacock moves it around the perimeter. Ryan Tucker, who was a major factor in the Friday semifinal win. Thompson gets to the interior and bangs one off the inside of the post to score.
Lyle Thompson picking up where he left off on Friday night. We mentioned the matchup on Gobrecht. Gobrecht is a very physical defender who de-sticks Ed Williams twice. Look at Thompson keep his stick away from his body. He doesn't allow Gobrecht to get anything on it and finds top shelf.
So difficult to knock off his line. Lyle Thompson doesn't look exceptionally strong, but he plays with incredible balance.
Quint, it just seems like he wants the contact. He seems to favor it.
Well, he knows his angles so well, and he's tough to knock off his line, and he's almost like a counterpuncher, Joe. When you do knock him off his line, he rolls back or uses your momentum against him.
Plays with such great leverage. He gives Chesapeake the advantage, the Coca-Cola MVP and Warrior Offensive Player of the Year in the 2019 Major League Lacrosse season, giving the Bayhawks the early advantage. John Wagner's a 22-year-old from north of the border, the province of Ontario. Mariano, with a lot of stick fakes, gets inside. There's a flag down.
Looks like it's going to be a hold against the Denver Outlaws. And this is a Chesapeake Bayhawk
12 Denver.
extra man offense.
30 seconds. 12.
A Bayhawk extra man offense that is incredibly potent. Look for Andrew Q, number 42 in blue. He had 2 extra man tallies in the semifinals against Atlanta.
Newbold has a seat after this infraction.
Tough call, actually. Mariano goes into a sea of white jerseys. You know there's going to be contact, and I think that foul shows you that the officials may call this game a little tighter than the semifinals that was called again in the Denver-Boston game.
Bayhawks were 1 for 3 on the extra man in the semi. Over the top, that's an easy stab for Dylan Ward on a long-range drive from Heacock.
Interesting man-down defense. They shut off Lyle Thompson, did Denver. They did that in the second half against Boston, shutting off Zed Williams. And Williams and Thompson are the two creators on those respective extra man units.
Back to even strength, but only for a couple seconds as Costabile was railed along the sideline. Multiple flags hit the turf.
Wait, 1 minute.
Costabile put himself in a dangerous situation, guys, running up the box, the substitution box side of the field, like Grand Central Station, and things change quickly. But after releasing that ball, he was hit. Now, the Bayhawks want to push transition today. They think that Denver subs from offense to defense, and there'll be some opportunities, but they catch a break with that penalty.
Ryan Lee with that heavy collision. He's a business analyst, and now by day, starting attackman for the Denver Outlaws. It gives Chesapeake the man up for a minute. They were tied for first during the regular season with Atlanta, 44% on extra man. Steele Stanwyck on a throwback for Mariano. Heacock outside the arc, 16 yards from the cage in Major League Lacrosse. That pass gets away. As they scramble for it, a good scoop from Andrew Q, who has goals in each of his last 6 games. Zips that pass cross crease, and the quick stick finds a hole. Steele Stanwyck makes it 2-zip.
Lyle Thompson shut off, no problem. Excellent ball movement in the 5-on-4 situation. You got to respect Q as a shooter. And as such, the Denver defense shows. They flare out to him. Backside Stanwyck, goal. Bayhawks looking great.
That was an 80-mile-an-hour pass. Major League Lacrosse is brought to you by New Balance, by Coca-Cola. Enjoy every goal, face-off, and check of today's game with a deliciously refreshing ice-cold Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Always beautiful scenics here in Denver as we are inside Dick's Sporting Goods Park for a Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Chesapeake takes the 2-0 lead here.
You can see Andrew Q, that's his sweet spot. That little left-handed shot about 8-10 yards off of the goalie's left hand, and Finn Sullivan goes flying out. The backside rotation was late. Steele Stanwyck wide open, and that was a great feed and look from Andrew Q.
Guys, Chesapeake and Denver, there are no secrets between these two teams. This is their 5th meeting of the season, their 3rd in about 3 weeks. The Outlaws won the first one July 4th here with all their pyrotechnics. Chesapeake won the last 3 matches of the regular season.
That last regular season meeting, a Bayhawk win. About a half dozen starters for the Outlaws were not playing. John Grant Jr. sat out to rest his knee. Players like Zach Courier were competing in the World Indoor Championship. So a fully stocked lineup obviously here today for the Outlaws in the MLL title tilt.
Better be careful with 12 and White, the long stick. He leads Major League Lacrosse with 5 two-point goals this season. Ryan Lee on the exchange. Oslanian and Grant Jr. rounding out the attack trio. Courier sprints to the wing. 5 seconds in the shot clock. Attack there by Bernhardt with a good lift check. The shot clock expires. It's a violation. The ball goes back to Chesapeake.
Outstanding defense by the Bayhawks. Their coach Dave Cottle telling me that Zach Courier is assignment number 1, especially when he dodges from a wing. He likes to dodge to the goal line extended and then dip underneath, and he's really dangerous in those scenarios. So good job by the guys in blue.
Yeah, to your point, Quint, Courier scored 2 dive goals on Friday night. 2 of them were wiped out. as Sean Quirk used 3 challenges, and all of them, 2 of them were on Zach Currier dives. He loves that goal line extended muscle in acrobatic shot.
Ryan Tucker off the split dodge. He'll throw it back, and that's picked. Newbold saw it coming. Chesapeake, all they have to do is think back to last year's semifinal with respect to Currier. He blitzed them 4 times. Denver edging Chesapeake 13-12, moving through to a title match when they put down Dallas in South Carolina.
40.
Schlosser leans in there, keeps it moving. There's a whistle before it arrived at Aslanian's cross.
Substitution issue.
Saying thanks, Chris Fennell, who plays with the Major League Lacrosse Bayhawks while he's on active duty in the U.S. Navy. Naval Academy midshipman, former Patriot League Defender of the Year. Chesapeake gets offensive now with Mariano. Trying to overpower Begley, the short stick D-mid. Mariano off the split. Sharp angle, he scores! On the run, snuck it through, makes it 3-0.
I think the athleticism of this Bayhawk midfield is a difference in this game, especially with Shane Simpson in the lineup. But John Wagner has been such a creator for the Bayhawks, and there's nothing really special about this give to Mariano, but he clears out, takes away the slide, and Mariano just gets top side and is able to sneak it far post against Dylan Ward. And you'll notice as this game progresses, Ward, as tall as he is, he'll play out off of that goal line about 3 or 4 yards, and he creates angles for shooters to target, and that time Mariano beats him far post.
At the face-off X, Max Adler will see a lot of Kenny Massa today. Ball is awarded to Chesapeake with the Bayhawks in blue already in front by 3. Mariano, the latest to strike. His summer began very hot. He had tallies in the first 7 Chesapeake games.
Again, this is a midfield. Simpson makes them more athletic here today. Andrew Q is hybrid. He can play as an attackman who runs at the midfield and takes advantage of short stick matchups. But Simpson also has fresh legs because he didn't play Friday night.
Shane on the dead run, rings this off the post and in. Shane Simpson makes it 4-0.
He may be the fastest player in the league in a 40-yard sprint. Out of North Carolina, Canadian product. When he puts his head down, turns on the turbo, look out.
Fellas, we always wonder when the guys were introduced to the sport of lacrosse. Shane was 5 years old. He lost a last place soccer match, and Dad said, you know what? Here's your lacrosse stick, and he's never looked back.
I have a similar story. It wasn't when I was introduced to lacrosse, but I was doing lacrosse and baseball at the same time, and after changing in the back seat about 4 weekends in a row to go from one to the other, my dad said, you got to make up your mind, and I chose lacrosse.
Good choice. Off this draw, Chesapeake has everything going its way. Dan Seglio makes the ground ball scoop, giving another offensive possession to the Bayhawks as we've drifted below 6 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Thompson, Stanwyck, Mariano, and Simpson for Chesapeake.
And Denver really with only one good scoring opportunity. That was on their first possession, so offensively they've got to get something going.
Bomberry fires and scores! A scorcher from 14 yards.
Danger zone for Denver as they are being dominated. Potential timeout coming up here soon.
Big time, Quint. Bomberry just slides and drifts after the 2-man action to his left. And just a great shot. He steps in, fires it high to high against Dylan Ward. And the Bayhawks right now are clicking on all cylinders. Denver looks like they're feeling the effects of Friday night's slugfest against the Cannons.
They were the second of the 2 semifinals. More early movement off the draw, another violation. 5-0 Chesapeake in the blink of an eye. Two teams, they played 4 relatively close games during the regular season. Are you surprised by the early disparity?
A little bit, but not really. Again, I feel like the Bayhawks have the advantage in the athleticism department. And that second game, even though, of course it was played a little bit later than the Bayhawks did, but the physical toll that had to take on Denver. Boston Cannons lost 2 midfielders in that game, Kyle Denoff and Kyle Jackson, injuries. It was just one of the most violent games I've ever seen.
Thompson, a shovel shot. Ward makes the save, nudging the rebound to the sideline. Tucker was pushed. It'll stay Chesapeake ball. Ryan Tucker, who was just awarded the Quorum Players' Choice Award, Best Teammate honors at the honor ceremony. Chesapeake, the 5-0 early lead, back to Denver in just a few moments. Jonquel Jones's monster Game 2 for the Sun. The series is tied at 1. We have Game 3 of the best of 5 all East Coast WNBA final later today, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. Chesapeake looking very strong offensively early on.
After 3 or 4 high misfires, Lyle Thompson gets things going, a one-on-one, and then the extra man cue to Stanwyck. You make Denver pay, and then the midfield takes over for the Chesapeake Bayhawks, showing off their dodging ability, their athleticism, and their shooting range. Bomberry slips, fires, finds the back of the cage, and Denver right now needs an answer.
Bomberry, the best percentage shooter for Dave Cottle's team during the regular season at 41.7. Denver just a single shot in this opening quarter. Ball knocked down, it belongs to Dylan Ward. It's clearing time for the Outlaws, who need to string some points together in a hurry. Begley streaking inside the 2-point arc. Grant Jr. fires, Phipps knocked it down. John Grant Jr., 24 in the white, his first touch on the day. 5-time Major League Lacrosse champion as a player. Strong ride here from Ryan Lee. Phipps throws a BB out wide. It'll be Nick Manis, the former Maryland co-captain of that national championship team for the Terps in 2017. Another of those Terps is there with the ball at midfield, Isaiah Davis-Allen.
Joe, it was Grant Jr., the 44-year-old, who was most vocal in the last Denver huddle, telling his teammates to just chip away. 60-minute game, chip away one at a time.
This team in white was down by 6 in the second quarter of its semifinal victory a couple nights back against the Boston Cannons. Chesapeake trailed at the half badly to the Atlanta Blaze, an offensive juggernaut, a team that's really able to put goals back to back.
That Denver-Boston game was 13-10 at halftime. The final was 17-15. But you want to talk about a slugfest, and John Grant Jr. in that game, much like to Quinn's point, he was taking control of the huddles when they were down. And he's the one that put the team on his back, made the plays that gave them the momentum back in that game. Can he replicate that effort? 44 years old on less than 48 hours rest is pretty difficult.
Mikey Schlotzer with the hair flying. He says, you know what? My hair's not that cool. It doesn't deserve all the hype. He turns the corner on Davis-Allen. Great slide, though. Dan Seglio coming over to help. Good ground ball, Brendan Kavanaugh. Denver with 6 seconds to shoot. Kavanaugh turns the corner. Feeds it. That's knocked down. Scooped up behind the back. It goes wide from Courier.
Good opportunity right there. Courier going behind the back. Had that touched the post or Phipps, and they could have gotten it back. They could have gotten an extra 60 seconds, but Courier just trying to make something happen. New time was short on the shot clock. Man, how do you hit that shot? That would have been a tremendous boost to this Denver Outlaw team.
We learned a lot about the Bayhawks and Outlaws during the week. Matt Abbott has the ball here, runs for days. Would you ever have guessed he has asthma?
No, I probably wouldn't have, because he's the human clear and just does everything right for a lacrosse player. So smart.
Fine defense there on Lyle Thompson on the outside from Gobrecht. Gobrecht given a bump. There's a flag down. Simpson's on his way to the box. Denver will soon have the extra man as Eli Gobrecht, the 26-year-old New York native, brings it along. Denver blank so far to this point.
He was a difference maker on Friday night with physical play. He was right on that borderline of do you call it or do you not call it. The referees did not, and Gobrek was able to impose his will.
Moore gets inside and scores. The rookie from Johns Hopkins breaks the ice for Denver.
Huge goal for the Outlaws. If you follow Kalmar in college, he was typically a set your feet and let her rip. And now he's playing midfield for head coach Tony Seaman, showing off his athleticism and dodging ability. When he gets downhill with his left hand as a professional lacrosse player, he's showing he can make things happen.
Marr just one shot in the semifinals against Boston. He had a big game against Chesapeake at the end of the regular season. 3 goals and 5 points as he carves into Chesapeake's lead at the tail end of this opening quarter. Dad Scott, who's the head coach at Albany. To the face-off X we return. Massa comes out of there with the scoop. Ball back down on the deck. Adler on the run for Denver.
Better by the Outlaws, Joe, because if they're going to pull this upset, they need Dylan Ward to be outstanding between the pipes and Max Adler to dominate faceoffs. Those, in my eyes, those are non-negotiables for a Denver win.
And I love the wing play on that last one with Begley coming in and creating that little traffic jam when Massa picked it up. It allowed his pocket to be picked. Denver now has another much-needed possession.
Denver, the 3 seed, an overall record now of 10-7. Chesapeake, the 1 seed, overall mark of 11-6 after their semifinal victories. The pass looking to the inside gets away. Sprinting at the midline. Courier trying to draw a foul on Bernhardt. The officials let him play. 20 seconds to go in the quarter. 8 seconds on the shot clock for Schlosser. Well outside the 2-point arc, a long drive that goes wide. Phipps, during the regular season, just 2 two-pointers allowed. Both of them, though, against the Outlaws. Another traffic jam in front of the net. The net knocked off the
penalty
board.
Flag by the substitution box up by the midfield line, Joe.
Let's try to figure this out. Phipps goes down, makes the save. Ryan Lee runs in and gives him a forearm shiver.
Unsportsmanlike. 1 minute, full time.
So it's not Ryan Lee, the guilty party. It's Mikey Schlosser, number 59 in white. You could have called Ryan Lee for that contact to the head and neck area of Brian Phipps, but instead it's Schlosser. And Quint, you were down on the bench area. They were not happy on the 2 no calls against Zach Courier.
Yeah, the first one you guys called correctly. It was a complete and utter dive. The second time, he scooped it up so quickly, it was almost baffling. He was taken down the second time, should have been a call.
Inside, late in the quarter, this is bounced wide by Bomberry as the horn sounds, ending the opening quarter of play here in Denver at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. The 2019 Major League Lacrosse Championship game on ESPN2. 1 quarter of the way through regulation. Both teams on good behavior. Chesapeake shooting up a storm. It's 5-1 after 1. MLS Decision Day is the season finale with all 24 teams playing in 12 simultaneous matches that start today at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. We'll have Timbers Earthquakes on ESPN in a match that could decide the final 2 playoff spots in the West, plus coverage of the most important matches on ESPN+. So download the app or go to ESPNplus.com. MLS Decision Day, presented by AT&T. To the field now, Quint Kesnick with Major League Lacrosse Commissioner Sandy Brown.
The Steinfeld Cup right here, which is actually not a cup for some reason, but Sandy, welcome to Denver. How would you best describe the action over the last 2.5 days?
It's been unbelievable. I mean, we had 2 incredible games on Friday night, just all out, as you know, an overtime game and then a 2-goal game. And then our honor show last night was fantastic. We dialed up a beautiful day here in Colorado and got a great, crowd here, and you can't beat it. Great October lacrosse.
What has the Denver franchise and the Chesapeake franchise meant to the league?
Well, they've been stalwarts in the league, and Brendan Kelly is such a great owner, and the Bolin family and Mac Freeman have done a great job with that team, and they in the game of lacrosse, he's a storied franchise, and you couldn't ask for two better opponents in a game for the championship game this year.
How would you characterize this summer, the 19th in the history of the league?
It's been an interesting summer. I think it's been seminal for the sport. I think there have been some good points about it, some not so good points about it, but the bottom line is we've had more opportunities for players to play professional lacrosse, and I think that's a huge plus. We're seeing guys that may never have seen the field before, and I think that's good for the game.
Let me put this trophy down real quick. You played lacrosse at a high level. When you come out to watch these pros, I mean, in my eyes, I'm always just amazed at the skill level, the size, the speed. What jumps out for you when you're down here on the field?
I think it's how fast. It's the speed of the game. It is, and the precision with which these guys hit their shots. Stick work is amazing, and I think that's the influx of box. I think it's great in the youth sport to be able to, youth game rather, to be able to have the influx of box, and I think that's made our game a lot more exciting.
Thank you, Sandy. He'll be handing out the Steinfeld Cup for the 19th time later this afternoon, Joe.
Number 9, blue, interference, 30 seconds.
Gentlemen, we appreciate it. Denver goes a man up. They were 1 for 4 against Boston on Friday in the semis.
Yeah, basically Ryan Lee was tackled to the ground by C.J. Costabile, so a good extra man offensive unit. Not great for this Denver Outlaw team, but this is a prime chance to get back in this game.
Kyle Marr working with John Grant Jr. from the top straight away. Schlosser's outside the 2-point arc. That's 16 yards from the goal. Marr on the distribution, that looks inside. It'll get away from Ryan Lee. They often look for 45 in the white. Their leading goal scorer bagged 38 during the regular season.
I actually thought that possession, that EMO execution was a little too unselfish. I thought Kyle Marr had an opportunity to rip it from a sweet spot that he's comfortable with, and then when he threw it down low, I thought there could have been a shot there as well, but they got some good looks right there. They're just going to have to pull that trigger. Marr, rookie, may have wanted to be a little give way to the more experienced guys on the field.
Brendan Bomberry, who was the last man of 5 different Bayhawks to strike in the opening quarter. He's got a cheering section out there. Brendan has a 4-year-old boy, Jagger. They watch as Steele Stanwyck operates behind the goal against Finn Sullivan. Ball down on the deck, bodies flying. A sturdy hit that was delivered by Wagner. Out of bounds, it'll belong to Denver. The Outlaws scoring last in the opening quarter. Kyle Marr.
Great stick by Finn Sullivan, puts the ball on the carpet, but you better have your head on a swivel. Denver's bench goes crazy, thinks it's a foul. They want a tightly called game. The Bayhawks are the bigger, stronger, more athletic team, the more physical team. Right now, these refs are letting them play.
Quint Kesnick, our sideline analyst, Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon upstairs, along with our rules analyst in the booth, Don Zimmerman. So glad you've tuned in there with us on ESPN2. A tip of the cap to all the men and women in our technical crew. It's been an early day for them. This was an 11 a.m. Mountain Time start. Ball down. Warren Jeffrey looking for the ground ball, and it comes up for Chesapeake's Chris Fennell. Clearing time, you have 20 to get it across the midline in Major League Lacrosse, and Costabile does that easily. Parts of 6 different summers with the Bayhawks for CJ.
40!
Ryan Tucker from the top. He has goals in his last 4 games. Exchanging with Shane Simpson.
He was a difference maker on Friday night, scored 2 huge goals in the second quarter when the Bayhawks started to find an offensive rhythm and get back into the flow of that game.
Taylor Stewart, the short stick D-Mitty for Denver there on the job. Bring it on around. Rexroad takes an eye on Heacock. Heacock turns back. Q's drive goes wide of the goal, and did you see Dylan Ward step out on the angle there?
He plays such a high crease, and he's 6'5" to begin with.
This one's buzzed wide by Lyle Thompson. The backup belongs to Chesapeake, though very late in the shot clock. In fact, they'll award the ball to Denver.
Joe, you played the position. There's those mid-range shots from, say, 7 to 10 yards where you're kind of at the mercy of the shooter. It's those situations that Ward likes to creep out on the high arc.
Q, I just wish I was a foot taller like that dude guarding the goal for Denver.
He fills it up, something
6'5"
special with a wide base. I mean, there's tight windows.
And that shot at the end of regulation that Challen Rogers from Boston put on goal was a great shot, and he got all 6'5" of that body down to make the save to send Denver to this championship game.
Schlosser buzzed that one wide just about 5 minutes into the second quarter. Aslanian brings it off the end line. Chris Aslanian guarded by Fennell. This one's off the outside of the post and the ricochet. Sprinting there was Phipps, but not in time to earn the backup. John Grant Jr. leaning in against Jeffrey. Powerful matchup there. Jr. trying to get under, then his pass to Courier gets away. This is over and back, belonging to Chesapeake. Colin Heacock, number 2 in the blue for the Chesapeake Bayhawks, the top seed in the Major League Lacrosse playoffs. Heacock, who erupted for a 6-goal game in early August against New York. Weathering the storm there on the outside, it's Michael Rexroad, outstanding long stick defender out of Rutgers. Thompson took his eyes off of that, didn't make the catch. It goes back to the Outlaws quickly. Andrew Newbold looking for some space. Newbold driving in, snaps it wide. Andrew Newbold had 10 goals this season, 5 of them from 2.
Newbold's so dangerous. You said from the 2-point arc, 5 2-pointers with that long pole. But in transition, he's very dangerous as well. Credit Nick Mariano with excellent hustle back to the hole. Trail check kept Newbold off target.
Grant Jr. and Jeffrey again. Me and my shadow. Double team coming. Nice catch, Kavanaugh. Courier fires and scores! Zach Courier from deep.
Excellent defense from Warren Jeffrey and not a bad slide. But John Grant Jr., watch this feed. One hand over his head, and then the one more to Zach Courier, who just drills the upper 90. What a play by John Grant Jr. Hockey assist. But that play, that pass in recognition of a slide, made that goal by Courier.
In 6 career Major League Lacrosse playoff games, Courier now has 21 points. Back-to-back goals for the Outlaws. They're within 3.
We take nothing away from Courier, absolutely. That was a rocket past Brian Phipps, but holy smokes, John Grant Jr., eyes in the back of his head, Joe, to make that pass, and the wrist strength to get that to Kavanaugh, who made the assist, was unbelievable.
Suddenly the Bayhawks can't buy a quality shot, Joe. Lacking rhythm and flow on offense.
This is an offensive team that was among the bottom 3 in goals scored last year. They wanted to focus upon their offense this particular summer. They've been in a bit of a dry spell now after the Bomberry goal. A drought to upwards of 5+ minutes. Q. Sharp angle, gets the double. Stanwyck dealing with Pless. Jump shot there from Tucker and a fine save by Dylan Ward.
A ridiculous stop. That was a great look inside for Stanwyck. Tucker, beautiful placement. Dylan Ward again showing his Gumby-like ability to go high to low at the snap of a finger to get low to smother that shot. Great save, Dylan Ward. Great shot, high to low. You try to go 5-hole. Dylan Ward fights it off. And he corralled the rebound as well, which is incredibly important in this game.
Bernhardt takes Courier this trip. Nice stop there by Phipps. Flashing the head of his goalie stick at that ball. There's a flag down. Chesapeake soon to go extra man. Abbott, that familiar stride, just gliding into the attack third.
We saw something we don't.
Matt Abbott going to the goal. He scores from 0 angle.
Flag down was a push against Denver. Matt Abbott just totally surprised both you and me, Joe. This is where you think Matt Abbott is just going to get the ball up the wing and start the offense. But Michael Rexroad leaves number 3 in blue, all to his own design, and Abbott comes in, beautiful head fake, and there's Dylan Ward stepping off the pipe, stepping up field, and watch Abbott slip it near post.
I got him. You got him. I got him. You got him. Nobody got him.
He just put his name on the score sheet. The 3-time Major League Lacrosse champion Matt Abbott had an assist in the semifinal against Atlanta. Massa comes up with a draw. Chesapeake has the 6-2 advantage, that ending that long drought upwards of 13-plus minutes without a goal.
Well, that's got to feel good for Abbott, because with 20 seconds left in the semifinal on Friday, he tried to clear the ball against Atlanta and coughed it up in the defensive zone. That led to the game-tying goal in regulation. You rarely, if ever, see Matt Abbott thwarted on the human clear. But Atlanta was able to do it, but his teammates picked him up, and he's here fighting for a championship.
Heacock off the swim, Bombery's drive, and it's Dylan Ward some 10 feet out of his crease to make the save. Thompson with the midfield scoop. Whistles.
Yeah, that shot, Joe, pegged the defender in front. I think it was 77. Eli Gobrick took it off the helmet, and he's a little stunned right now, and perhaps that's why we had the whistle.
Referees today, Brian Abbott, Doug Donovan, Dave Pacharo, and Mike McCloskey, your officials.
32 on the clock, man. 32.
This whistling drive never did get to Ward.
You can see again, look how Dylan Ward is 2 feet out of his crease. Good thing Gobrecht is okay.
Bombery gets underneath of Gobrecht. Eli Gobrecht, his dad bought him his first lacrosse stick in first grade. Snapshot there from Thompson, missed the target.
Thompson's a little gimpy. He's got that left calf wrapped. He's coming off a Charlie horse injury on his left quad as well. He's not 100% in terms of his running.
Number 4 in the blue works to the top front of the crease now. Inside roll here, and Ward straightens up to snare that one from Colin Heacock.
Ward has picked up his game here in the second quarter. He's made 3 really nice saves. Lyle Thompson, we know how physical he likes to play, but Eli Gobrecht is a bully on defense, much like Warren Jeffrey on the other end. Nice inside move by Heacock, and look at Ward. Smart move right there, staying on his post, making himself bigger. Making himself bigger than the 6'5" to go high to make that stop.
Dylan Ward, double figures and stops 14 times this season. Kavanaugh with room, and Phipps answers Ward at the other end. Phipps, who took over the starting role from Nico Amato. Amato, a first-time All-Star this year, but it was Phipps down the stretch, starting for the last 5, and making 8 saves in the semifinal win over Atlanta, a game in which he got better as the game went along.
He was tremendous in the second half. A great lacrosse player, 3-time MLL All-Star. His veteran presence has been vital to the Bayhawks down the stretch, and he's played well so far here today.
Simpson on the dead run, walks in and scores! Shane Simpson's second of the day.
Quint said it earlier, perhaps the fastest player, not only on the Bayhawks, but in the entire league. Fakes it, head of steam, slaloms through the Denver defense and slips it past Dylan Ward. Huge goal for Shane Simpson.
On a beautiful Sunday, a mile high. Our Week 5 Monday Night Football matchup has Jimmy Garoppolo and the 3-0 49ers hosting Baker Mayfield and the 2-2 Browns at Levi's Stadium. Cleveland 4-1 against San Francisco in the last 25 years. They've only met 19 times in their history since 1960. That comes your way 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN app. The coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 Eastern. An evening ago, it was Major League Lacrosse honors. All the heavy-duty hardware handed out. Mark Dixon, you were there, and Lyle Thompson had to be a focal point.
Double winner, New Balance Offensive Player of the Year and the Coca-Cola MVP. It was a great night at Union Station in Denver. There's your full complement of award winners. Tony Seaman on the sideline here today, the Tito's Coach of the Year. Ryan Tucker, the Quorum Player's Choice. And then the David Huntley Man of the Year, Nick Morocco of Boston. How about Liam Burns, Warrior Defensive Player of the Year, player from Marquette, the Midwest, winning that honor. He was terrific on Friday night.
Liam said that he was going to be on his way to Europe after the playoffs had concluded. He wanted to spend one more day here in Denver. As we get to the face-off X, this is the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Quint Kesnick is your sideline analyst, Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon up in the booth, and we are joined by our rules analyst, Don Zimmerman. And Don, a few moments ago, we saw a whistle blare out when a Denver defender was hit up high with a lacrosse ball. Explain what was going on.
Well, this was a shot clock interpretation, Joe. For the shot clock to be reset, it must either hit the goalkeeper or the pipe. However, if a defenseman is standing within the goal and the ball hits him, now they reset the shot clock as well. If he's outside the goal, they keep the shot clock as it is.
This is the play to which we were referring. See Gobrecht take that one before Ward could even get his cross to it.
And since they stopped play, Zim, to make sure he was okay, are you surprised Gobrecht didn't have to be substituted off?
No, I think that's just purely a mechanics for the officials.
John Grant Jr. with the ball. A one-handed flick and a diving effort put home by Ryan Lee.
This is insane. Boston didn't slide to John Grant. Chesapeake is. And he's showing he can beat you with his vision as well as his shooting ability. Ryan Lee then lays out because he's got no one around him. Isaiah Davis Allen went and slid on John Grant Jr. Beautiful one-handed feed from Jr.
The legs may be 44 years old, but the hands and vision, ageless.
Sharp as attack, creative as they come. Pleasure to watch.
Massa gets the draw again for Chesapeake. Ryan Lee, goals in all 12 games he dressed for this year. He was a hat trick or better in 8 of those 12. Has a magic touch. Thompson off the roll dodge, scoops it for Stanwyck. Over the top, Costabile thought about the 2. CJ had a couple of goals the last meeting against Denver, including a 2.
Terrific defense by Brian Bagley. Didn't give up his body. The Loyola Greyhound got out there, hands in the gloves, kept it there, lifted, didn't allow Costabile to get that 70 inches of titanium behind his head to shoot.
Mariano, 24-year-old upstate New Yorker, looking to Heacock. Heacock challenged on the outside by Finn Sullivan. Bayhawks have 14 seconds to shoot. Thompson has the shorty on him, trying to beat Taylor Stewart. From the angle, he scores! Lyle Thompson.
Snappy release. He goes from cradle to shot in the blink of an eye, and he beats Dylan Ward to the punch. Like a quarterback who's able to get the ball out of his hand, it is amazing how quickly he can release the ball.
He makes it look effortless, Quint. He puts so much into his game. He's so smooth. And he's deceptively quick, even like you mentioned with looks to be an injured leg. How quick he gets to the cage and just that wrist strength and how he gets it snapped off. Makes it look effortless.
Major League Lacrosse Commissioner Sandy Brown in his interview with Quint was talking about the precision with which these guys shoot the ball. We are seeing goals from extraordinarily tight angles in this first half today. It's 8-3 Chesapeake.
Watch out for Gobrecht. He is going chopping hands. He is physical. Guys are going to feel number 77 in white has been there.
Newbold comes up with a ground ball for Denver. The Outlaws trying to be dangerous here in transition. We remind you, coming up at halftime, we'll meet Bayhawks attackman and MVP Lyle Thompson. Plus, Mark, Quint, and I break down the first half of play. Stay right there with us between quarters 2 and 3. This is the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Major League Lacrosse, so much history. Its inaugural year, 2001. Schlosser on the go. Phipps looks very tidy in goal for Chesapeake.
A lot of high shots from the outside on Brian Phipps. And he was struggling with that the other night against Atlanta's shooters, but right here today, he has been very much tracking those shots, and not only tracking them and saving them, but saving them clean. No rebounds.
clock and score right here, Joe, if you're the Bayhawks.
Definitely, with 1 minute to go in the half. Phipps wishes he was playing in the NFL. It is Sunday after all, and we are in Denver. Shane Simpson jogging with it. Short stick D-mid Brian Begley there. The never-ending beat of JoJo the War Drummer.
Gotta love it.
In the background.
I can put him in the foreground if you want.
Negative. Q off the roll, snapped it wide. The dangerous Andrew Q, who has tallies in each of his last 6 games. Rex Road on the clearing efforts for Denver. In the waning stages of this opening half, Pless finds Courier. A long feed that gets away from Grant Jr. Was it deflected?
Referee say no.
Bayhawks ball.
You just heard somebody from the Denver bench yell, look behind the play. Every opportunity the Bayhawks get to rough up Zach Courier coming up the field, they're taking full advantage.
Thompson has the ball in his stick. Just 3 seconds to operate. That cross knocked out of his hands by Gobrecht. The final fling of this first half. Chesapeake came out shooting up a storm. A 5-0 lead in the first 15 minutes as the teams get into a little bit of a verbal battle. It was 5-1 after 1. It's 8-3 after 2. Quint Kesnick chatting with the Chesapeake head coach.
You built a 5-goal lead. What was most pleasing?
Well, we played defense against a great offensive team and held them to 3 goals at half, and we're moving the ball.
What's your biggest concern as you spin things forward to the second half?
Well, we got to win some faceoffs. If we win some faceoffs, we're going to get good shots. If we get good shots, we're going to score.
Thank you, Coach. Joe.
Quint, Chesapeake's been the #1 team in goals against average each of the last 2 summers. Their defense is showing off again today. The offense not too shabby as well. 8-3 after 30 minutes. A feature on Lyle Thompson to come your way when we return on ESPN2. Major League Lacrosse is brought to you by New Balance, by Coca-Cola. Enjoy every goal, face-off, and check of today's game with a deliciously refreshing ice-cold Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Bayhawks are halfway home to another title, an 8-3 lead after 2 quarters. Before we start the third, we'll send you to Quint Kesnick and Major League Lacrosse's Coach of the Year, Tony Seaman.
Thanks, Joe. Coach, what can trigger a comeback?
We got to shoot the ball better. We got to stop the miscues. We made a couple of mistakes. Too many men on the field on the sub one couple times. We've been late on the sub. Got to stay on the field with our offensive middies to the defensive end and then get off. When we do those things, we'll be all right.
What's the major point of emphasis on defense?
Slide to 4 and just, play our game. I thought they shot the ball great in the first quarter. Not much you can do, and we were man down 5 times, so that hurts.
Thanks, Coach. Tony Seaman led 3 NCAA teams to championship weekend. I believe he's the only man to do that. Penn, Towson, Johns Hopkins.
National Coach of the Year at 2 schools as we remind you of the Amarin Risk keys to the game.
And we talked about limiting fouls. Tony Seaman just mentioned it. Even though on the power play, the Bayhawks haven't been super effective, that's possession time and then sharing the ball. 6 different goal scorers for the Bayhawks. That is a great sign for the boys in blue.
What's at stake? The Steinfeld Trophy for the winner of the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Newbold comes out of there with a ground ball for Denver. Then he lost it, though, right to the faceoff man, Massa, who gets the Bayhawks an offensive touch to start quarter number 3. 28th all-time meeting between these 2 teams. Only the 3rd in playoff action. Mariano with a flag down, and Chesapeake soon to go extra man.
Well, Tony Seaman just said we have to stop making mistakes, and right away the flag down.
That pass to the interior clicks off of Heacock, and we hear the whistle. Officials today, Brian Abbott, Doug Donovan, Dave Pincharo, and Mike McCloskey.
Foul. 30 seconds.
So it's a conduct foul on the goaltender, Dylan Ward. And you could see Ward, when he picked the ball up, when the ball came into the crease, he flung it to the end line and nailed it off the New Balance placard So he was not pleased. So a conduct foul, and you've got Christian Knight, backup goaltender, coming into the game cold, as Will Ward has to sit in the sin bin and serve his foul.
Couldn't find his helmet. That's how cold he was.
Knight, the second-team All-America out of Cornell.
Watch Ward get it and just chuck it. He's not happy.
Christian appeared in 7 games during the regular season. Bayhawks going through the weave. Bomberry right at the 2-point arc, 16 yards from the goal. Stanwyck.
Put Thompson inside. He's being face guarded.
Loop it on around. Long range bullet. Waved at there by Knight. Heacock sent it on the way. Goals in 14 of his 17 games this season.
Yeah, Denver shutting off Thompson on the extra man, much like they did in the second half against Boston, limiting Zed Williams touches.
Defender hung up here. Finn Sullivan sneaking a peek around Knight. Bomberry thought about behind the back. His pass for Heacock gets away, and it will be Denver to clear. Stewart doing the honors, looping it ahead for the speedy Kyle Pless. Pless, who's pursuing a master's degree at the University of Nottingham in the UK. When he's not performing here on a Major League Lacrosse field.
We've had a lot of fun watching Kyle Pless in college. You can see that brace on his knee. Missed 8 games due to an MCL sprain, and he is, talked to him last night at MLL Honors, he is absolutely thrilled to be back on the field helping this Denver team.
Just saw the championship titles at the bottom of the screen, won by these squads. Jasinski makes the pass there for the sharp angle, and Aslanian sent it wide. For these two teams, this is the 8th time the Bayhawks have been to the championship game, a 9th time for Denver.
And just a model of consistency. Denver, 14 seasons in existence, 13 playoff appearances. They've won, 3 MLL titles in the last 5 years.
Jasinski from long range, kicked out of there by Phipps. Aslanian's follow-up chance didn't get through. Zach Currier in possession. Fresh shot clock for Denver. In Major League Lacrosse, there's a 60-second shot clock. Jasinski, who hails from Alabama of all places, trying to swim on Davis Allen. Phipps made another save.
Joe, you mentioned the Denver franchise as the Bayhawks control that shot. Pat Bolin, their owner, passing away this season. I know these players are eager to take a championship back to Denver in his honor. He was so influential in really establishing this team and giving them a great home and support. And then there's the Bayhawks, who appeared in the first championship game 19 years ago, and they've been a mainstay.
So much history of which to speak in Major League Lacrosse. 2006, Major League Lacrosse's Western expansion, including the introduction of the Outlaws, who have been a flagship team ever since, routinely in the postseason.
When being here at championship weekend, watching all 4 of these franchises, the Cannons have a wellness coach and are incredibly fit, and they probably were maybe the tightest in terms of the most collegial atmosphere. Atlanta, a tremendous offense and so many young players making it to their first playoff appearance.
Failed clear, turnover, Stanwyck kicked out of there by Dylan Ward. A sloppy clearing effort, giving the Bayhawks another chance. Thompson blisters that one wide.
Well, these are the saves that Dylan Ward needs to make. And then offensively, I think it's Jasinski and Schlosser. I'm looking at those guys. Jasinski had a couple of shot opportunities, nice saves by Phipps, but I think those 2 midfielders are key to stretch out this Bayhawk defense.
Rexroad comes to get Lyle Thompson. Thompson finagles inside. That pass is off the deck. Scooped by Bomberry. Chesapeake slowing tempo now, nearly 5 minutes into the 3rd quarter. Wagner with room. Sent that one high as Ward came out to challenge. John Wagner, goals in 8 of his last 9 outings before this title game. Steele Stanwyck turns the corner, the bounce shot, and Ward able to get his feet together in the nick of time. Sullivan comes up with the end line scoop.
Bad clear pass. Bayhawks golden opportunity to take a 6-goal advantage, but watch Dylan Ward get low. Quick reflexes, fights it off.
Chesapeake stays in possession. Heacock thinking about a 2. Zips that one high, backed up by Lyle Thompson.
He's 5 yards off the goal line, Joe. That's a 9-foot radius, and he's at least 4 feet outside the crease.
Quint, you and I were there at the outset of the 2019 season this past summer. Ward's high game, a 19-save effort against the New York Lizards. It was as good a goaltending performance as I've ever seen. But it is a little unorthodox.
Big time. I've never played the position like you and Q have, but I have to imagine running out to greet shooters like that is a risky, unorthodox proposition.
I never played the position like Joe did.
Thank goodness for you.
25 white, slash, 1 minute, media timeout.
Very nice of official Brian Abbott to cue our commercial break. Chesapeake an 8-3 leader as we carry right along in our championship match in Denver from Dick's Sporting Goods Park on ESPN2. After Jonquil Jones's monster Game 2 for the Sun, the series is tied at 1. We have Game 3 of the best of 5 All East Coast WNBA Final later today, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. In a Major League Lacrosse championship game between the Bayhawks and the Outlaws, Mark, you figure it would be physical.
Incredibly physical, a lot of hits. The calls are going a lot against Denver. This is a team that really bullied and beat up a Boston Cannon team on Friday night. You're not going to be able to do that to Chesapeake. Although Eli Gobrecht, D. Twiggs, Lyle Thompson, there we see Ryan Lee with the shot-fitted chops of Brian Phipps. And Denver man down once again as the Chesapeake Bayhawks are on the power play.
The fight for the Steinfeld Trophy continues.
That montage shows elements of football, but most similar to the contact in hockey.
Bottom of the hour time, Quint Kesnick, our sideline analyst. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon in the booth, along with rules analyst Don Zimmerman. Tip of the cap to all the men and women in our technical crew. Chesapeake on the extra man. Bombery had that one get away, and Dylan Ward says thank you very much. Rexroad looks to clear. Finding the open man, Kyle Pless.
The second goal of this game was cue to Stanwyck as the penalty expired, so it wasn't a power play goal. And right now, I believe the Bayhawks unofficially 0 for 6, 0 for 7 on the power play. But Quint, you're down on the sideline. A lot of calls going against Denver. What's the mood of their bench and the coaching staff?
They're not giving up. They're just been sloppy. You know, when you're the second guy to a loose ball, typically you're the one who's going to pick up the foul. So they're losing those matchups. Then the sloppiness in the clearing game here in the third quarter has cost them. This is really only their second true possession. They finally get a break with a flag.
Flag down, an extra man time due for the Outlaws.
Denver's come from behind many times this summer. They're in good shape. They train at altitude all summer long. So when they look up at an 8-3 margin, I don't think that gets in their minds. The issue is that they really haven't played great offense at all today.
Q, neither team on the board in this third quarter yet. Denver's gone about 10 minutes without a goal. A chance here on the extra man. John Grant Jr. straight away, 24 in the white.
Want Ryan Lee on that little flash cut. Look for Kalmar. If he gets his hands free.
Here he is. Lee fires and scores. A submarine shot to the roof.
Denver coach Tony Seaman has coached a ton of great shooters throughout his decades-long career. He told us on Friday that Ryan Lee is right up there with the best shooters he's ever had on his team. Nice ball movement to soften up that Bayhawk defense. And Ryan Lee, you've got to have a stick on number 45 in white because he will tear you apart with a clean look like that. Credit Kalmar with the nifty look inside to find his teammate.
Lee had one in the semifinal win over Boston. He has 2 today. Ryan Lee out of RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. Adler comes up with a ground ball. Max Adler, who's an ESPN financial analyst by trade.
And he likes to get under Mikey Schlosser's skin. You mentioned Schlosser asking us not to make a big deal about his hair. Max Adler turned right around and said, no, you make sure you mention the flowing mane of Mikey Schlosser, and those two seem to have a great relationship.
Jasinski slithering on the goal line. Davis Allen with him, the short stick D-mid for Chesapeake in blue. Top-seeded Bayhawks on the lead by 4. Grant Jr. with Jeffrey hung up. Grant Jr. leaning in with a shoulder, driving his way to the crease, a fancy behind-the-back shot. Phipps was ready. John Grant Jr., a man with a million moves.
Seemed like a good scout by Phipps. He knew that was coming. He reacted to it well.
Aslanian back behind the cage. Inside roll, double comes. He looked like he was held. There's a flag down. Denver goes extra man.
Momentum has shifted. Crowd's getting into it as well.
Holding. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Chris Fennell gets flagged for this.
And we see Aslanian gets taken down. They take the hold, but look at John Grant Jr. Great job by Brian Phipps. This is veteran against veteran. You know what's coming when he's above top side, and he gets that left foot out. Brian Phipps, left foot kick save and a beaut. Most goalies, they're frozen on that magic shot.
So often Grant Jr. is never looking where he's shooting. Schlosser hums and scores. Long-range BB from Mikey Schlosser.
The drum's a little louder and the cheers are more plentiful. To Quint's point, you can feel the Outlaws making a run. Schlosser just steps in a couple inches inside the 2-point arc, just lets her rip high to high, nothing fancy, just good ball movement, put it where the defenders ain't, and the Outlaws are back in this game.
Here comes the run. How do the Bayhawks respond?
Schlosser, the 24-year-old Californian, a first-time All-Star this season. It's an 8-5 match. Adler wearing number 9. He does so for Roy Hobbs of the National. Comes up with a ground ball, gets Denver another possession, and as Quint Kesnick mentioned, the momentum is shifting.
You really feel the crowd down here, Joe, whether it's JoJo's drum or this boisterous group behind me. They're part of this comeback.
Zach Currier, high-profile scoring midfielder for Denver, has it here, 25 in the white.
Currier, their MVP finalist, but Schlosser is a guy who missed 3 games due to a groin injury. They struggled mightily in his absence. He is such a huge boost to this team.
Kavanaugh from outside sends it high. It's backed up, though, by Aslanian. Aslanian right off the end line in there quickly. Matched up with Fennell. Lee on a dive! Nothing there. Costabile and Phipps met him at the post as the Bayhawks start with possession.
Ryan Lee then gave Brian Phipps some business. Phipps got up gimpy.
Phipps is hurt. He wants a penalty.
Still bending at the knee and flexing and dabbing at his knees.
He's like a right ankle or right knee.
And Quint, he's a guy who's had knee problems throughout his lacrosse playing career. I believe 2 ACLs.
He has been very solid today. Had a half a dozen stops in the opening half. Ryan Tucker, the son of 2 head coaches, both mom and dad. Lacrosse playing family. Ryan started when he was age 3. Shane Simpson looking to accelerate, finds the open man. 13 seconds in the shot clock. Lyle Thompson has it, the Coca-Cola MVP of the summer in 2019. Thompson drawing a crowd. Lyle Thompson, double team, tries to split it. He's planted to the ground by Pless and Begley as the whistle blares out. 4 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the third. Chesapeake, an 8-5 advantage. More to come from Denver. MLS Decision Day, the season finale. 24 teams playing in 12 simultaneous matches. They start today, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. We'll have Timbers Earthquakes on ESPN in a match that could decide the final 2 playoff spots in the West. Plus, coverage of the most important matches on ESPN Plus. So download the app or go to espnplus.com. MLS Decision Day presented by AT&T. JoJo beating up the drums. Back in history, Quint, we can look to 2013, the last time Chesapeake triumphed, and it was John Grant Jr. wearing their colors.
The familiar number 24. Picking up what? Hit maybe his 5th ring, I believe. Dave Cottle, the architect, and owner Brendan Kelly. You know, what stands out is the support of a great owner in Brendan Kelly and the eye of Dave Cottle. Nobody works harder. Going to college practices, looking at college games, looking at films, getting on the phone, finding a guy like Andrew Q from Tampa. You know, bringing in all these Canadians this season. Dave Cottle is typically a step ahead when it comes to personnel decisions.
That was back-to-back championships for Chesapeake, something Denver is trying to do today. Denver down Dallas 16-12 last summer, winning the title in Charleston, South Carolina. Denver, though, putting up a fuss here in the 3rd quarter. The Bayhawks have not tallied in this frame. Denver has goals from Lee and Schlosser, trying to trim it back to 2 now. Courier on the outside, Schlosser shaded by Davis Allen. Schlosser inside, shovel shot Lee. Didn't hit the target.
And Chesapeake has had their opportunities here in the 3rd quarter. Credit Dylan Ward, excellent saves, and Bagley shutting off Lyle Thompson has thrown this extra man unit for the Bayhawks out of kilter.
Bodies flying.
Moving pick.
Officials will award the ball to Chesapeake.
Moving screen against John Grant Jr. None too happy about the call. A much needed turnover, however, for Chesapeake, and see if they can get their offense on track.
It's been a while for Chesapeake without a strike since late in the 2nd quarter. The boys in blue, the top seed in the Major League Lacrosse playoffs.
When the Bayhawks are humming, Joe, it's about Lyle Thompson, Colin Heacock, and Steele Stanwyck being the key distributor.
Heacock's been quieted today. Q finds Bomberry. Mariano is next. Now Heacock against Rexroad. Jump shot goes wide of Dylan Ward. It'll stay Chesapeake ball.
And it's 5-on-5 right now as Eli Gobrecht is shutting off Lyle Thompson.
Stanwyck getting the measure of the Denver D. A quick trigger snapshot goes wide from Mariano.
This is better offense than we've seen from them. The ball behind the net is a good place to be if you're a Bayhawks fan.
Q powers his way in. Tries to stuff that one. Ward was there at the post. Andrew Q, a 20-goal scorer this past summer. Newbold on the clear. He finds the open short stick D-mid, Taylor Stewart. Stewart waiting for replacements coming off the bench. Newbold for 2. Wide of Phipps.
I don't think that was a good decision by Andrew Q. I agree with Quint. When that ball's behind, it's a good spot, but dodging and diving from behind goal line extended against Dylan Ward, not going to go.
Aslanian, goal line extended, finds Grant Jr. Matched up with Jeffrey. John Grant Jr. halfway through the 60-second shot clock. Bulldozing his way towards the crease, down he goes. 44-year-old Grant Jr. who came out of retirement to play this season. One of the gigantic stars of the semifinal win was John Grant Jr. with his 5 markers a couple nights ago. This will bounce out of bounds to Chesapeake.
Andrew Newbold letting fly. He's got 5 two-pointers in 2019 to lead the league. But how about that check from Chris Fennell?
Ward made a save there. Help comes from the defense. Newbold pulling the trigger. He works in operations for a non-profit organization for cancer survivors. It's called Mission. Does great work on and off the field. You watch Ward cross over there. It's 8-5 with 40 seconds to go in the quarter. Denver can have the last possession if they choose. Schlosser against Davis Allen, but in no hurry.
We've seen some excellent defense. That check from Fennell to create the turnover. And how about Dylan Ward? He's played a sterling third stanza here on Championship Sunday.
Mikey Schlosser picking up speed. Quick ball movement. Good read, though, by Davis Allen. He makes the intercept. Final 10 ticks of the third quarter. Lyle Thompson spins, tries to get to the interior. Worked over by Gobrecht. Thompson, late in the frame, buzzes one wide. Dylan Ward will heave it the length of the field to end quarter number 3. With Chesapeake now 15 minutes away from potentially title number 6. The Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Dick's Sporting Goods Park, the venue. We'll bring you back for the final quarter right after these words. Outlaws mascot Styx is ready for Monday Night Football. Jimmy Garoppolo and the 3-0 49ers hosting Baker Mayfield and the 2-2 Browns at Levi's Stadium. Cleveland just 4-1 against San Francisco in the last 25 years. They've only met 19 times in their history since 1960. That's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Coverage beginning with Monday Night Countdown at 6 Eastern. Major League Lacrosse Championship history. Just look back to last summer. Zach Currier and the Outlaws prevail.
Tremendous run, and they knocked off these Bayhawks in the semifinals in what was considered to be an upset. And Tony Seaman was the GM of that team, as B.J. O'Hara, now in charge of the New York Lizards, was at the helm of the Denver Outlaws. And Seaman has constructed this roster to his liking. He loves his guys.
Tony Seaman, 7 years as the general manager of the Outlaws. Denver has 3 titles in the last 5 campaigns. We are 15 minutes away from crowning a champion today on ESPN2. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon, and our rules analyst Don Zimmerman in the booth. Quint Kesnick is your sideline analyst. Aslanian trickles one through Phipps, and Denver is back to within 2 points.
You can hear Dick's Sporting Goods Park erupt. The Denver Outlaw cheerleaders are leading the charge, and this is unlucky for Brian Phipps. Got to pick up those first-time grounders. Massa misses multiple times, boots it into the offensive end of the Denver Outlaws. Aslanian picks it up. Phipps read it, but it just had enough juice to get over the goal line. Huge tally for Denver.
Bayhawks 8-6 as we look at today's Power Through Face-Off stats. These presented by Powerade.
You can see Massa shaking his head, feeling disappointed that he didn't pick up that ground ball. It's one thing not to pick up ground balls. When you don't pick them up and it leads to fortunes for the other team, that is just a huge turnaround.
And he comes over to the sideline, throws his helmet, puts a towel over his head. Got to hit the reset button if you're a Fogo or you're a goaltender. Short memory.
Shane Simpson picked up on the outside by Begley. Simpson drawing an early double, a switch there actually. He's traded off to Charlie Hayes. Chesapeake's lead at 1.50 in this game has dwindled to 8-6. Simpson going for a jog against Hayes. Gets it in gear and finds Mariano. Bomberry's open off the crossbar. Brendan Bonberry had time to set his feet there, and he beat Ward cleanly, but struck the iron.
I like this midfield. 23, 44, and 45. You got 2 terrific Dodgers, a great feeder in Mariano, and a heck of a shooter in Bomberry.
Heacock sprinting against Rexroad, turns the corner. Ward straightens up to make that stop. Rexroad then will goose it to the goalie, and the Outlaws have a chance to clear.
Heacock's been quiet today. He was quiet in the first half on Friday against Atlanta. He scored a goal in the third quarter, and that seemed to really galvanize his team, along with Ryan Tucker. Can he come through with a big play here in the fourth period?
Zach Currier hands it off for Mikey Schlosser. Newbold sneaks into the picture.
You got to credit Rexroad for defending Heacock. These guys go back to college, the Rutgers versus Maryland days. They're very familiar with one another, and Rexroad's done a nice job on number 2.
Brendan Kavanaugh, 5 in the white off the Denver bench. It was brother Matt, the MVP of last year's title win. Schlosser on the go, missed it short side. The backup, though, for Aslanian. Aslanian, the last man to strike for Denver, making it a 2-point game. The 2-point arc in Major League Lacrosse is set 16 yards from the goal. John Grant Jr. against Warren Jeffrey. Jr. wraparound, he scores! Somehow he found a sliver of space to make it a 1-goal game.
Outlaws fans watching the legend, 44 years old. What makes this so difficult to stop is you can't see it. He uses the defender as a screen, wraps his stick around the hip of the defender, and the ball's on top of you and behind you before you realize it. Posting up and burying those shots from close range. John Grant Jr., Hall of Famer.
A helpless feeling for both the defender, Warren Jeffrey, and the netminder, Brian Phipps.
And that time he was facing the goal. Those little quick shots like that, typically he has his back to the goal, but use the defender as a screen, and holy smokes.
Adler comes up with a draw. Denver has a chance to tie or perhaps take the lead on this trip. Chesapeake is the only team to have won a Major League Lacrosse title, quote, in front of its hometown fans. Did so in Annapolis. Denver trying to do it again today, although these are regarded as neutral sites. Schlosser fires and scores! 8-all.
On his free time, Mikey Schlosser, the Michigan graduate, works on his VW bug. But when he dodges, this kid's a Ferrari. Goes 0 to 60 in no time. And I like the hesitation. He saw the double, but the double wasn't aggressive enough. And then he puts it high to high. He's a right-handed player. I don't think Brian Phipps thought that shot was going to have the velocity and placement that it did. Great shot by Mikey Schlosser.
My, oh my, how things have changed. Denver and Chesapeake are level. Points in this game belonging to Denver has him jumping for joy in the stands. It's 8-all. Mark Dixon thinks started to change in quarter 3.
The extra man, Ryan Lee, the sharpshooter. And we mentioned the midfield for Denver having to step up. Mikey Schlosser on the EMO as well, hammers it home. And the save by Dylan Ward, who has been incredible here in the second half. The Bayhawks have yet to score a goal since halftime.
Momentum clearly has shifted. Lacrosse, a game of runs. The 44-year-old posts up, 8-7, and then Schlosser with his second left-handed down the alley. Denver and their fans feeling it.
Both goalies have been good today. Dylan Ward, you mentioned his save percentage around 51. Only outstanding rookie netminder and goalie of the year, Sean Scanoni of Dallas, had a higher save percentage this past summer. Begley comes up with the loose ball. Denver has turned the tables 2 at the face-off X and now has a chance to grab the lead for the first time today.
From our vantage point up here, Max Adler is losing some of the clamps, but then Adler is able to handcuff Massa a little bit with his back hand, and it's not being called by the referees. Therefore, I don't think there's an infraction, but it almost looks like a borderline hold. But either way, it's been effective for number 9 in white.
Schlosser wants the ball on every trip now for Denver, 59 in the white. Kavanaugh moves it on around. Courier leaking below the goal line. Zach Courier sets it. Schlosser fires. That hits the crossbar and bounds out of play.
This offense is humming. Notice the ball movement, the people movement. It's in and out of sticks. They're changing formations. They look like themselves, putting a lot of pressure on the Bayhawks.
Aslanian playing catch with Lee. Bring it this way for Kavanaugh, who's been coaching at Marquette. Schlosser against Isaiah Davis Allen, a former All-American out of Maryland. Schlosser to the alley, gets underneath, another one off the iron.
Wow. The legs that Denver did not have in the first quarter, and I was really concerned about, looked like they were running in quicksand. They have broken free in a big way. They have got a ton of energy.
Chesapeake ice cold. They've been defending a lot. Nothing on the board in quarter 3. No goals of which to speak in the second half all through. John Grant Jr. Here comes a double. Behind the back flick. Courier halfway through the shot clock. Zach Courier against Manis. This one sent wide of the goal by Kavanaugh. Backed up again by Aslanian. 8-all. A game that was 5-0 Chesapeake right off the jump. 8-3 Bayhawks at the halftime break. All Denver ever since. This is one of the reasons why. Sprinting wide. Schlosser sends it over top of the cage, guarded by Brian Phipps.
Love Schlosser's game. Huge difference maker. Again, missing those 3 contests this season with a groin injury. Fully healed. Just such a great player.
Neat pass to the inside. The shovel shot from Lee doesn't find a home. As the shot clock expires, it's Chesapeake ball.
What made that attempt so impressive was Denver ran off all their offensive midfielders, and it was only the attackman left, and Grant was still able to find Lee for some semblance of an opportunity.
But mark that possession down, guys, because that was a multiple shot clock defense that was tired. As you see IDA kind of walk off the field right now. They dug in and played great defense when they had to, the Bayhawks.
1 o'clock Mountain Time. We're 2 hours into the festivities. It's 8-all in the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon in the booth, along with rules analyst Don Zimmerman. Quinn Kesnick is our sideline analyst. The Bayhawks and the Outlaws shaping up to be a fantastic finish. Steinfeld Trophy at stake. Wagner off the roll dodge. An awkward-looking shot that was blocked. Finn Sullivan looks for Rex Road, and away come the Outlaws with Stewart. Keeping it humming for Pless. They've got numbers. Fast break Denver. Lee fires. He scores!
Tony Seaman has coached players like Spencer Ford, like Terry Reardon. Tremendous shooters. Look at this catch and release from Ryan Lee. First out the run out by Kyle Pless. He made a living of this in Rutgers. This thing just paralyzes the upper 90. The release, the velocity, and the energy. Holy smokes.
7 of the last 8 points for Denver. Here they come again. A cross crease pass for John Grant Jr. He's bumped by Jeffrey. Denver has its first lead on the day, just about halfway through the fourth quarter. Jasinski. Marr and Jasinski playing up top.
The midfield advantage that the Bayhawks had is long gone. Wagner had an opportunity to shoot that. Gloves in his hands. Made it a tough go. It didn't even reach the cage.
Dan Seglio guards Jasinski. Bernhardt peeking out on Courier. Here comes the help. Shot clock at 8. That pass gets through the crease area. It'll be Chesapeake ball with the Bayhawks trailing by 1. Both of these teams in come-from-behind fashion, winning through their semifinal matches. Denver coming from behind again today to take the lead. Now the KG veteran Matt Abbott has the ball for Chesapeake, 3 in blue.
Lyle Thompson time. It's got to be.
You would think. Simpson brings it for Heacock.
He's being shut off on the far side of the field.
But the whole second half, they've had number 4 under lock and key.
Stanwyck for Abbott, who's inverted against Begley. Matt Abbott. Simpson, who didn't play in the semi, as if he needs fresh legs. running away from a double.
Abbott needed to be more aware in that two-man game. Thompson was free.
Matt Abbott thought about it, lost it out of his cross. 10 seconds to shoot for Chesapeake. Newbold digging for it. So too Abbott. A lot of pushing and shoving going on. Denver comes out of there. Andrew Newbold with a ground ball. Loose play here near the midfield. Scooped by Sullivan. Lee tries to play a little hockey on the turf, and he comes up with it. Ryan Lee hat-tricks in 9 of his 13 games, or better this year. That was a bump from the blind side. Fennell bouncing back up.
It was a play on. Bayhawks were going to get the ball back regardless, but this offense right now, with Lyle Thompson being shut off, the offense for the Bayhawks looks nomadic. They need someone to step up and make a play, because look, they hit a goal. This is the most veteran team, I believe, in Major League Lacrosse. They get one to go on Dylan Ward that completely can turn the complexion of this game around.
They have not scored a point in the second half. They've been dry since about 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second quarter. Unimaginable when you have the Offensive Player of the Year on the ball. Lyle Thompson against Rexroad. Nice cut. Wagner, he missed the target, sent it high.
I love how now Thompson's going to set picks. He'll take it off the end line because he's being shut off, but they're using picks to free him up, and Stanwyck was smart to get him the rock.
Maneuvering in against Gobrecht. Thompson with a one-handed underneath shovel that goes wide. Stanwyck floated over. Wagner off the split. He fanned on it. Denver comes up with a ground ball. It's Charlie Hayes running for cover. 4 minutes and change to go in the Major League Lacrosse Championship game regulation time.
This crowd is having a major impact on the emotion and the energy level of the Outlaws. A huge positive.
We saw that on Friday night over at Peter Barton Stadium, University of Denver. It's almost like, in addition to John Grant Jr. Q, the crowd for the Outlaws really willed them to success.
Chesapeake took the last 3 regular season meetings between themselves and the Outlaws. The Bayhawks' last 4 games of the regular season, all decided by 2 points or less. Another nail-biter here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Courier spins. Here comes the double. Offers it to Kavanaugh. He sent it wide. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Aslanian was there for the backup. Chris Aslanian racing towards the crease. Courier rolls that one wide of the goal. As we hear the whistle, a chance for us to step away. It has been a day for the lacrosse fans to enjoy here in Denver. 9-8 Outlaws. Trophy on the line. Denver leads Chesapeake 9-8 with 3 minutes and 22 seconds to go. Mark, this has been a one-way highlight reel of late.
Where the Bayhawk power play has not been effective today, Denver used 2 extra man goals in the third quarter to jumpstart this comeback. Mikey Schlosser has been fantastic, but Quinn, I think this goal right here was really a spark that even furthered the Denver train along the tracks.
We talked about somebody else having to step up, and it's been Schlosser in the second half, scoring unassisted to tie it up. The great run out by Pless. What a pass he puts in the stick of Lee. These fans have been behind this team. Max Adler's winning draws, and goalie Dylan Ward is making stops. They've put it all together after really a horrendous first 10 minutes of this game.
Major League Lacrosse Championship game coming to the state of Colorado, the 11th different state to host the Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Major League Lacrosse coming into formation in 2001. Founder Jake Steinfeld. That Steinfeld trophy awaits.
Matt Abbott sticking around to take an offensive shift. I love how he gave the ball up and didn't try to run it out himself, relying on his teammates to help out.
Abbott has goals in 5 of the last 6. He has not struck today. Heacock has been quiet. Heacock fenced in by Rexroad. Mariano looks inside. Dylan Ward to the splits with a save on Stanwyck.
What a ground ball by Wagner to keep the possession alive.
And a fresh 60-second shot clock, 2.5 to go in the fourth.
They got a great look. That was almost a carbon copy of the game winner in overtime against Atlanta on Friday. Dylan Ward, another terrific save.
Heacock on the run with Mariano. Mariano, there's a flag down inside. Stuff attempt. It goes.
2 flags.
3
maybe
flags.
more.
4 flags.
And I think they're all on Denver, Joe.
Brian Abbott will be making the assessment soon.
I believe the first one's going to be a late hit, which is just not smart lacrosse for Denver at this stage and score of the game.
Right. Heacock got crushed. It was Finn Sullivan, 36, at the top of the arc. And then after Stanwyck dove and hit the goaltender, the Outlaw defenders didn't like it. So it looks to be 2 penalties against Denver.
You also have the red flag out from Tony Seaman. Challenge the goal.
We have 2 fouls. 36 white, unnecessary, 1 minute. We got 2 white, unsportsmanlike dead ball foul. 1 minute, full time, we have a challenge.
There is a challenge.
Full time, 1 check.
It's the tail end.
Stanwyck on the dive.
Let's watch 2. And there's Pless. Cross-check to the head of Steele Stanwyck right in front of the referee. There it is. And then before that, before the pass inside to Stanwyck, number 36 in white drills Heacock, Finn Sullivan.
Potentially a 9-9 game. Don Zimmerman is our rules analyst in the booth. And Don, if I understand correctly, with respect to the dive, the ball has to clear the goal line before any contact with the goalie. Are we considering that at all here, or is it something else?
It could be that, Joe. It could be, again, with the dive, you cannot step on the line before you leave your feet, and the ball does have to cross the goal line. However, they could also be thinking that the attacking player went at the goalkeeper, but I didn't see that at all. So we'll have to wait to see what the refs bring out of this. It's a complicated play.
Let's see if we can see it from this angle. It looks like Stanwyck may have made contact with Dylan Ward's stick or his torso before the ball went into the cage, potentially. This is the best look, I think. So hard to tell.
Had the ball already crossed the goal line.
Right there, looks like contact is made and the ball is not across the goal line, but hey, that's why I'm up here, not down there, trying to figure this thing out.
Video review right now. Brian Abbott has finished his review. We understand it's going to be a good goal, Quint.
Yeah, and what's most important, the foul against Stanwyck is a dead ball foul. So, Mark, there should not be a face-off here, correct?
There's no face-off, and they're both personal fouls, so it's going to be 6-on-4 for the Bayhawks. Huge, huge swing in this game.
A Chesapeake team #1 in Major League Lacrosse in terms of extra man effectiveness now has a chance to try and grab this game by the throat. At one point, the guys in the blue jerseys led 5-0. Denver roared back to take a 9-8 lead. The Stanwyck dive has tied things up at 9, and now Chesapeake has possession and a 2-man advantage.
Unbelievable. Denver only has, okay, now they're sending out their 4th defender, but this is monumental in terms of the opportunity for the Bayhawks right now.
As Coach Seaman continues to prowl on that sideline, Tony Seaman has seen Chesapeake not the score late in the 4th. Bayhawks have it on the extra man. Bomberry, Mariano, and then Stanwyck, the quarterback. Steele Stanwyck, straight away Lyle Thompson. Bomberry holds. Heacock, no shooting lane yet. Deliberate movement. Andrew Q ready to pull the trigger. Likewise for Bomberry. Keep it moving to Stanwyck. Inside Mariano! Not there. Comes out of it. It comes up for Chesapeake. Still extra man. Stanwyck closing.
Tony Seaman's furious. He thought he called timeout.
Thompson, Heacock, and Stanwyck all on the perimeter. Long drive sent wide. Mariano laced that one wide of the goal.
The defense is in a box or diamond formation. I'm surprised the Bayhawks didn't put somebody inside as we return to even strength.
6-on-6 this end of the field. Q fires. He scores! Andrew Q.
Wow, what a huge goal And Chesapeake, that was as the penalty expired. So a man for the midfield was running down. A man from the penalty box was running out to make it 6-on-6. Before Denver could get set, Q gets it. There you see 23 at the top of your screen. He's kind of in no man's land. Q steps in. I don't know why you vacate that area. If you're Denver, you got to stay true to what you were running. It was 6-on-4. Chesapeake was just moving the ball. I thought they were looking for the perfect shot, Quinn. I thought they had a couple opportunities before that Q release. But man, it turns out in their good fortune in the end.
That's an issue that all defenses face when things return to even strength. Checking up, calling numbers, and everybody finding a man.
A huge face-off here. Massa and Adler digging forward at the X. It comes out on the ground. Hayes overruns it. There's a whistle.
Illegal touch. Illegal touch. Blue ball.
Isaiah Davis-Allen has it with time ticking under a minute to go. Chesapeake has the 10-9 lead. They can run for cover. The shot clock is turned off. Abbott chased on the sideline by Begley and by Sullivan.
Empty net.
Dylan Ward has left the crease to help out at the defensive end. Abbott for Davis-Allen. Heel run to a corner. Pless is there looking for the turnover check. Simpson, 25 seconds to go. Chesapeake, a 5-time Major League Lacrosse champion, leading by 1. Simpson gets underneath, and now the timeout is called by Chesapeake.
I like the timeout. You got your two speedsters, Abbott and Simpson, on the field, but they did a lot of work in that 40-plus seconds. I know you might be sitting at home saying they were running away, let's just let them play until they get into trouble, but you don't want to run that risk of them being jumped. Take the timeout, let them catch their breath, and let them come back and try to run this thing out.
Head coach Tony Seaman continues to be upset about an earlier call, giving the officials a mouthful. Unsportsmanlike conduct calls are coming. Zach Currier needs to be restrained and pulled back away from the pile.
Yeah, he better watch it. He's got a history and a reputation of losing his cool.
As this Major League Lacrosse Championship game ends with a ton of laundry on the field.
You see how much these guys have invested. The opportunity to play for a championship after a 20-week summer.
For guys like Currier, he's played 60, 70 games this summer. But it's still, you got to keep your cool. And you hate to see something like this unfold at the end of such a great game.
Is ejected. 3 minutes.
Incensed, Zach Currier making his way to the sideline, having been ejected from this game, which has just 14.6 seconds left in regulation. Chesapeake with the ball. Shot clock turned off.
This goes back to the original timeout call when Denver scooped up the ball in their defensive zone. They were running it out. The official, Mark, you know the challenges. He's running up away from the Outlaws bench. Tony Seaman's trying to chase him to call timeout. They weren't on the same page.
Yeah.
Referee didn't hear coach. No timeout awarded. Turnover. Game change. Frustration.
I can tell you as an official, in those situations, you've got to have little eye on the field, big ear on the sideline to listen to the coach to call timeout. In MLL, you can call timeout anywhere. So if Tony Seaman, in fact, was yelling timeout and the ref didn't hear him, that's truly unfortunate.
In 2012, Chesapeake beat Denver 16-6 at Harvard in the championship game. This one's so much closer than that. A spirited Outlaws rally. Chesapeake has bounced back to take the lead, and this is the play of which we're speaking now.
Gobrecht picked up the ground ball, gets triple teamed. Tony Seaman alleging that he was trying to call timeout. The refs don't give it to him. Turnover, Bayhawks come back and score a goal. And as a result, Zach Courier has been ejected. It looks like we've got 6 on 4, 6 on 3, because in essence, 3 flags, 3 men.
Matt Abbott has the ball on the sideline for Chesapeake. He's a 3-time Major League Lacrosse champ. He dishes for Lyle Thompson. Those two playing catch on the sideline. Time ticking away. Isaiah Davis Allen and the Chesapeake Bayhawks. In Denver to down Denver. Major League Lacrosse champions in 2019. The top-seeded Bayhawks go over the top, a mile high in Denver. A thrilling 10-9 decision. Major League Lacrosse Commissioner Sandy Brown ready to award the Steinfeld Trophy.
What an incredible game we were treated to. What an incredible weekend we got to see from Major League Lacrosse. An overtime game on Friday, the Bayhawks knocking off Atlanta, and then you have a 2-goal victory by the Outlaws over the Cannons, a game-saving stop by Dylan Ward to keep the Cannons out of here, and now you have a comeback victory for the Bayhawks, a 1-goal affair. You couldn't have asked for any better lacrosse this weekend in Denver.
All the congratulations shared amongst teammates. The Steinfeld Trophy held high. The Chesapeake Bayhawks are champions again. Chesapeake on top today. It's time to reveal our play of the game that's presented by New Balance.
It was the game winner, Andrew Q. Once the teams got back to even strength, Steele Stanwyck finds the sharpshooter out of Tampa on the wing, and he does not make any mistake about it. Bullseye.
Another product of the Hill Academy under the direction of Major League Lacrosse great Brody Merrill, Andrew Q, with a game-winning and championship-winning marker for the Chesapeake Bayhawks, who down the Outlaws 10-9. The handshake line, a show of respect between these two teams, who have met 5 times this season, 3 of them in the last 3 weeks, and so many close, riveting games. This one goes Chesapeake's way.
A ton of credit goes to the Denver Outlaws, down 8-3 at halftime, and they kept the Bayhawks off the score sheet until late in the fourth quarter. That man, Mikey Schlosser, was terrific. Dylan Ward, the goaltender, was incredible. But wow, the Bayhawks found a way in the end of this to pull it out. And like you said, when these two teams get together, they're so familiar and so talented. This is what you get.
Mark, Chesapeake fans had to be looking at their watches, looking at the scoreboard and going, what's wrong? Our team's been dry for so long. They did not score in the third quarter at all. That's incredibly rare. For most of the second half, they were quiet, but in the clutch, They delivered. And today's player of the game, presented by Coca-Cola, will be Steele Stanwyck of the Chesapeake Bayhawks, standing by with Quint Kesnick.
Congratulations, player of the game. Bayhawks built a lead. Momentum shifted entirely. What was that part of the game like?
It felt like a home game for them. Kind of felt like we were losing our grasp, but honestly, we never doubted ourselves. Everybody stayed calm, collected, and just what a team effort. I mean, we were hot on offense, then we hit a slump. Defense was amazing all day. I mean, just what a team win.
What happened on the game-tying goal?
Just found myself on the crease, backed up. Nick had a great pass. Just kind of tucked and tried to dive across and bang, bang play, and luckily it was accounted for a goal.
You had a great career at Virginia. That was a while ago, and you continued to play.
Yeah.
Why?
For this, right here. Been hunting this one for a while, and just couldn't be prouder with the group that I got to do it with, and hit 30 a couple of weeks ago, and this is just full circle. Unbelievable.
20-week season, long summer, with your brothers over here. What's that bond like?
Unbelievable. I mean, what a locker room. I mean, we had such a unique group of young guys and old guys. I mean, Jesse and Brian Phipps, unbelievable leaders, and it's just unbelievable. A long season started back in May, and here we are in October.
Steele, congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Joe?
Quint and Steele, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Those championship t-shirts are keepsakes for the Bayhawks. A 10-9 victor today on ESPN2. A back and forth game in the fourth quarter, and now Chesapeake, a champion 6 times over in Major League Lacrosse.
And I think this speaks to their veteran leadership. This was a team that was coming up goose eggs in the second half, and they just kept plugging away.
Another photo opportunity for the Bayhawks. Quint Kesnick has Isaiah Davis-Allen.
How would you describe this scene?
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a great, just a group of guys, guys like Colton, guys like Ryan Tucker, guys who didn't dress really stepped up the last 2 games here.
You've played a lot of lacrosse.
That's a fact.
You had this game under control, and suddenly you were going to lose this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a credit to their team. I mean, they have a lot of OGs over there, guys like John Grant Jr. I mean, what a player there. Guys like Courier, guys who are great off the ground, great off the wing, scores a ton of goals. I mean, all the credit to Denver. I mean, that was a tough, hard-fought game there.
Congratulations, Isaiah.
Thanks so
Joe.
much.
Fellas, we appreciate it. This has to be such a bitter pill for the Denver Outlaws and their ageless wonder, 44-year-old John Grant Jr., who came out of retirement, gave it his all, but came up 1 goal short with his teammates.
Without question, and especially how this game ended for Denver. They feel like they were robbed, I'm sure. We're going to probably hear about that, but at the end of the day, tremendous season for the Outlaws. They have become a model franchise in the MLL, and credit to the Bayhawks for fighting back and winning their 6th MLL championship.
The top seeds finish the 2019 season with a mark of 12-6. Battle-tested and championship medal on display for the Chesapeake Bayhawks. A 10-9 decision over Denver. For Mark, for Quint, for Don, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati thanking you for your time. This has been a presentation of ESPN and Major League Lacrosse. Coming up next, it's Championship Drive, Who's In, presented by Goodyear. The Chesapeake Bayhawks came to the Mile High City on a mission. They're going to fly all the way home to Annapolis. Major League Lacrosse champs.